I want to play some audio here of Chris Matthews, who I've, given up on caring about a long time ago. But I think this is really staggering, what he has said here. And I want you to ask, how can you spot a tyrant or a dictator? The way you can spot a tyrant or a dictator is anybody who tells you to shut up, sit down, be quiet. Anyone who doesn't think that you have a right to speak. I don't mind if Chris Matthews and MSNBC, they have a right to go out and say all this stuff. I support them 100%. I would never boycott them. I think boycotts are for girls, quite honestly. You put your money where your heart is.
It's really an offensive thing to say about girls.
I know it is.
Mm-hmm. They're for cowards.
They're for cowards. Have the courage of your conviction. The truth will always win in the end. But a dictator doesn't do that. A dictator tries to smear and to shut you down. In the end, when there's no other way, they just shut you down. And it's remarkable. Especially when, I'm going to play some audio for you here in Wisconsin, when you are in the majority and you are afraid to voice your opinion. And I don't mean afraid like, it's going to cause me some heat. I mean, you're afraid for your life. You're afraid that you'll be fired. You're afraid that you'll never work again. You'll be blackballed. This is McCarthy. That is what McCarthy did. He would use the power of the government. I'm sorry, that's not what McCarthy did. That's what they accuse McCarthy of doing. To use the power to blackball people. And I'll tell you, this administration has used the IRS, the NSA, AP scandal, you name it. That's what they're living for. And I want you to listen to Chris Matthews and what he said about Ted Cruz.
This guy goes pretty far, but I think he fits the tradition of Father Coughlin.
Okay, so that's Beck. The father fits the tradition of Father Coughlin?
But there were several words in there that I didn't understand. Can you play them again?
Okay.
This guy goes pretty far, but I think he fits the tradition of Father Coughlin.
What? This guy Father Coughlin. I heard Coughlin. Seriously, Glenn, he doesn't say the full words, and he needs to be called out on it.
When you get to be his age,
okay,
good point.
Then you come talk to me.
So you're bringing people together here, and I'm dividing, you're living by your edict here.
Now
I apologize.
Let's go. So Father Coughlin is back. Father Coughlin is something they...
Remind who Father Coughlin is.
Father Coughlin is a progressive.
A socialist.
A socialist progressive. Yeah. He ran, what was it, Progressive Magazine?
No, he ran Social Justice Magazine, and he was a supporter of the Nazi regime.
Supporter of Nazis.
Social justice.
Social justice.
That's more Chris Matthews, who's all over social justice.
Yeah,
but what are you talking about?
Because what they try to do is they always take
the tradition.
They always take their enemies. I mean, I'm sorry, their
bad guys.
They're bad guys and try to make them into their enemies. They were your bad guy.
Yeah, the two things
you're the one who did it.
That should be paired together in the Father Coughlin story are social justice and National Socialism.
Right.
Yes. Those two things were closely aligned.
And if you want to go with social justice and you want to look for a preacher, it's Jim Wallace. He would be the closest to Coughlin, but he's not a Nazi. I mean, let me give him the benefit of the doubt that he'd never give me. He's not a Nazi.
No, he's a Marxist.
He preaches. He's a Marxist, and he is a socialist, and he believes in social justice. That's what Coughlin did until the end. Everybody loved it until the end when he was like, "Hey, I'm for Nazis too," and there's like, "Okay, I don't think."
Even for much of that time, they still loved him.
Yeah, they did.
For much of that time.
You know why? Because he had the left of the Catholic Church. That's why. Finally, the church came out and said, "You need to sit down and shut up." But it went on way, way too long here in America. So Father Coughlin is a hero of the social justice crowd who now try to demonize him and make him into somebody from the right.
Yeah,
they're
continually comparing this guy to solid, hardcore conservatives who hate socialism.
Yeah.
Who hate Nazism.
And social justice and communism.
They're the ones who love this stuff.
The rule of a dictator or a tyrant. So anyway.
But there's more.
This guy goes pretty far, but I think he fits the tradition of Father Coughlin and McCarthy, and of course, and maybe to a lesser extent, Pat Buchanan, and of course, O'Reilly.
You mean, hold stop. You mean the former employee of your freaking network? Is that who you're... Pat Buchanan worked for your network for like a decade. He's all of a sudden the most evil man on the planet.
Right. And
Unreal.
he was also, it's really amazing. So he's Father Coughlin and McCarthy. And then O'Reilly fits into that somehow, and Buchanan.
And Buchanan. Pathetic. It's pathetic.
But go on.
But okay.
This is where it gets
from the
amazing.
start. So you got to listen to this carefully because he's about to do something pretty reprehensible.
This guy goes pretty far. But I think he fits the tradition of Father Coughlin and McCarthy, and of course, and maybe to a lesser extent, Pat Buchanan, and of course, O'Reilly. These guys are hard right-wing guys. They look a lot alike. They have that we call the black Irish look to them. They don't smile much.
What?
The black Irish look to him.
What?
This is a smear on Irish people. The black Irish is an old phrase meaning, you know, they're Irish, but they've got dark skin and dark eyes and dark hair. Jeez. And it's basically what he's saying is
all conservative white guys look alike.
He's a white man, and they all look alike, even though Cruz is Cuban. He's Hispanic and Cuban. He's still white. It is the most racist thing. I can't
it's amazing
believe
that he can get away with this. Night after night, too, he does this kind of stuff. Night after night.